Sup everybody, so today is going to be a video review of a head that I've been kind of wanting to get a hold of for a while. Uh, didn't really think anything of it, but I really did want one for a while, but I didn't really want to hash out the cash for it too much. Until recently when I was just like, you know what, I'm going to get one just because I really wanted one. I've always liked this company, never really hated anything that they've put out, and I mean, it's been a while since I've done a review of anything, so let's just get to it. The subject at hand for this review is the Gait lacrosse, if you can see that, Matter. The Gait Matter, which, if you think scientifically, I'm assuming that's what they're getting from it, is that everything up is made of matter. So that's what we're going with, even if it isn't, whatever, who cares. It's not a super important thing, but it is a pretty cool name. But getting right into it, off the bat, when you first kind of look at it, you think, hey, is that a brine clutch? Because seriously, look at that. Look at the pinch all the way down at the bottom. And same thing happens in a clutch. Same thing happens in a proton power. You string it the wrong way. The ball rolls down to the bottom and gets stuck against your sidewall strings as it's trying to roll out, which isn't a horrible thing. But it also means that this head is basically designed for your mid high pocket, and honestly, that doesn't always sit well with me, but obviously I can string around that problem, and I have. But so, aesthetically, obviously it looks like a clutch, very, very reminiscent of a clutch. Its sidewall struts there's two struts. If you were to move these higher and angle them slightly different, it would be very reminiscent of a Lakota. Your scoop is obviously I want to say trademark, but definitely the telltale sign that it is in fact a Gait head, where they have this multitude of top string holes, which there is 10 of them, which if you guys are a traditional stringer and you've used Gait before, then you know for a fact that the stringing options for this are going to be exponential when it comes to traditional or mesh if you want to get fancy with it. The bottom holes, as you can see, are actually quite large. You could fit regular size leathers through them, but they are round, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get your leather through there if it's a larger one like the Minlax ones or anything like that. Don't try it. I wouldn't try it unless you want to either break the head or ruin the leathers. But so, just such a clogged up throat today. But so it has a decent amount of sidewall holes. If you guys know the Gait Torque, or even if you remember the Gait Fuel, which I kind of wish I could get a hold of one of those ones in really good condition, simply because that one's very much like the Warrior Evo Pro, if you guys remember that one. But Gait hasn't really been putting out so much great heads in the last, I want to say, 7 years. After the fuel, they kind of just went on the wayside, at least to me. I know they came out with a diesel, which I've done for Neil, for the Aussie, as everybody calls him, which, by the way, that's coming soon too. But so, the diesel, there's all sort. No, the Gospel's brine, but Gait's come out with some pretty decent heads, but until this one, they've really been putting out the just kind of mediocre stuff in comparison to the Torque, which is the mainstay of a lot of people, like all your indoor guys. I know a lot of Canadians love it. It just in bulk, you can get one of those things, and it'll just be glorious for you. You can string up torque any way you want, basically. And I mean, torques are so popular; it has their own day, Torque Tuesday. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with the torque, really. But for a much more advanced head, as far as the high school regs go, there is not a universal version of this, but as far as high school regulations go, this is probably one of the better, I guess you could say, standard heads. And it's definitely one of the better ones since the Torque came out from Gait, except for the XLU. The XLU is actually a really nice head too. But at the hand here we have our Matter, and as you can see, it's not a lot of sidewall holes. There's it in comparison. If you were to look at, like, say, a Burn or a Rabel or even a Clutch, there wouldn't be this few of holes, which isn't a bad thing. You don't. A lot of people say, "Oh, it doesn't have enough sidewall holes for me." Get imaginative. Use the knots that are out there, and just with this one, it's very simple to make this thing work for you. Just to get it to do what you want it to do. And for this one, I decided to go with a 10 diamond top string, just because the spacing was perfect for a 10D top. And if you guys are going to get fancy with this thing, it has these 2 sidewall holes or top string holes here that actually would work very well for traditionals. It has very decent sized sidewall holes in here at the top, and just overall the stringing was very simple. I didn't have to come up with anything elaborate or anything like that. I just strung each knot and it just came together beautifully. I only had to go back maybe twice just to mess with it, just to see how it would work. But otherwise, I pretty much did these in one go without any trouble. And the 10D top made it so that there could be a very pretty much mid to high shifting high pocket without exponential amount of whip, and that's what I was going for. And the retention is pretty nice with this thing. There's not a whole lot of crazy rattle or anything like that. One thing that I do have to point out is that it does have a whole lot of flex, and not necessarily in the good way. I probably would not recommend it for face-offs, just because there is no support down here at the bottom for your pinch and poppers, and that's not good. You want a little bit of protection down here near the throat so that you can actually do your pinch and pop and all that craziness. But so don't use this for face-offs. I really wouldn't recommend it for face-offs. It is a little on the flimsy side, so face-offs would work, but because, again, the bottom of the throat, I wouldn't recommend it. But the flexing or flimsiness of the head makes it so much better for you guys that like to crank as hard as you can. So I want to show you guys something. So because of said flimsiness, your head's gonna have more or less a channel that stops right about here. Because of your flex, the pocket actually lengthens. Do you see that? How just because I'm squeezing right there, and when you're shooting and passing as hard as you can, that happens in slow motion. If you were to slow down how the head looks, that's what's going to happen. Your channel's going to get longer. It's going to get more accurate. That's why you want a little bit of flex in your head if you're a shooter. If you're a shooter, you want flex. It's going to give you a lot more power. The ball's going to come out a lot more accurate. At least scientifically, that's how it's supposed to work. But so, if you guys want a decent shooting head, I'd say go for it. It's just so clean. It has a little bit of protection here at the top of the scoop. It's got decent sidewall holes, good structure. It's just because it's flimsy doesn't mean it's not strong. It's a very durable head so far, and I've been kind of putting it through the ringer. Again, it could be very good for traditional. I'm probably going to put one in sooner or later. The throat, your hand will just kind of come up around it. I mean, if it was a little stronger, it could be a good face-off head, but just because of how you can grip it. But your hand will come up around it real nice and comfortable when you're cradling. Nice, strong-looking throat. Although here on the sides, it is a little thin, so that's probably going to crack at some point. But so, overall, I'd have to give the Gait Matter just two big thumbs up because I'm not going to give numbers. But it is a very solid head. I have it on a Gait ice, a gunmetal Gait ice, but altogether, both Gait materials go well, very well together. And again, this only comes in a high school spec as far as I have been told and been able to find. But so, if you guys are looking for something that's a little bit on the better side as far as a attack oriented head, or rather a little bit more pinch offensive minded head, the Gait Matter is a very good choice. You can get them for dirt cheap with a shaft online from quite a few different vendors, but very solid head. As far as I know, it only comes in white, so you'd have to dye it in different colors, but I don't really see many people using it, so whether or not it's popular or not is up to you guys on whether or not you want to really just string it up and use it. But I don't hate the head. I'm glad I bought it, and hopefully I can put some good use into it. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Maybe even if you see somebody with a Gait Matter, ask if you can mess with it for a second. Get a look at it. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later.